All right. I see that. Yeah, it took me a little bit to get started here. Hey, Lee. Good to see you. Thanks again for the hat, man. I love this hat. I wear it all the time, by the way.
All
Trooper.
right.
Oh, we don't want this soon, but we gotta take care of that. One second. Sorry about that, guys. Trooper, good to see you. I'm pouring the good stuff right now. I'm ready. Oh, what are you pouring there, Trooper? I'm just curious. Um, we're gonna take a look at a couple interesting ones. Thanks again for the lead-in there, Scotch for Dummies. Good show as always, and hope one of you guys at least get to stick around and join a little party here. I noticed that they stopped letting you announce on Twitter automatically when you launch these live shows, so I'm gonna have to figure out how to get the link in there, I guess, or something, or maybe someone else can do it for me. If you have a Twitter account, feel free to pop the video in there and send it on if you don't mind. It helps get the word out anyway. Ooh, a Tomatin 18, that sounds good. I haven't had that one. My friend Lee here, Lee G in Virginia, he doesn't live that far from me. We've met a couple times. He had a 12, I believe it was a special release that was there's something special about that one, Lee. I think wasn't it like a single cask release or something like that of a Tomatin 12 even, and the 12 was amazing. I thought it was pretty good. I've had their decades, and that's one of my favorite Tomatin whiskeys I've had. Trying to think of any other ones. I don't think I've had the 18 though. I'll have to get that out. Lee's having some mediocre stuff, so you can get rid of some sulfur bottles. Oh, subpar bottles. Sorry, subpar bottles, man. You mentioned that you didn't enjoy the Glendronach peated. I was kind of surprised, to be honest with you. It wasn't as good as a lot of peated whiskeys I've had. I will agree with you on that. But to have a peated whiskey that's got some really great sherry notes to it, not easy to come by. I'm interested to see what you're going to think about this one, if you ever have had it, or if you're contemplating getting it, because I think you would like it, but you kind of are a tough one to read, because sometimes I know this you're not as big of a fan like the Lagavulin Distillers edition as I am, or some of the sweeter, but they're more, I guess, closer to PX and Oloroso type of sherry. This is an Oloroso, not as sweet, so I think you might like this one. I'm trying to remember how sweet the Glendronach peated was. Was it PX and Oloroso? I think in that might have been the reason why you didn't like it as much. That's just my guess. I don't think, Lee, you're probably a big fan of the sweeter PX stuff with your peat, but that's just my guess. I could be way off, but let me know if you think that I'm onto something with that. Can't wait to hear about the Glen Grant 15. Been wanting to try this one. Yeah, the Tomatin I got is the old bottling. Oh, cool. Lee said 11 and 12, both store picks. Yeah, it was store. It was like store versions. You shared the 12 with us. That's probably the one I remember being pretty good. Hey, Keith. Yeah, you're gonna like this one, I think, if you get your hands on. I'll talk about that in a second. Welcome, Moose, and Lee was agreeing with the Oloroso and PX. I don't think you're a fan of the PX with your P. Is that pretty much the across the board thing? Have you ever had a heavily peated whiskey that you do like that's PX influenced? I bet you're going to be hard pressed to find one. That's just my guess. But anyway, we're going to start off with this guy, and the main reason for that is this is first fill. I believe it's first fill bourbon. Yeah, first fill bourbon casks. This is heavily peated. This you do not want to drink first. You want to drink this last. Anything heavily peated, Laphroaig, Ardbeg, you don't want to start with that. You're going to annihilate your palate. Thanks so much for stopping by there, Kenneth. The Glendronach peated has gotten better as I've worked my way through it. The last 6 to 7 actually decent. Yeah, oxidation I think helps that one. I love the Distillers Edition PX Trooper. That's one of my favorites, but I don't mind a sweet dram with my peat. So I think it's a nice combination of heavy peat. That's why I think I love the Octomore 7.2, because it's got the great heavy peat, and it's also got that French Syrah cask, a red wine almost cask, I think, influence to it. Thanks, shout out to Generous Paul if he's watching, for that sample a long time ago. That was a good one. And Triple likes the Glen Grant. Is it this particular one? If you've had Triple, let me know. Yeah, as you can tell, I've got an early start on these bottles. I've started to, when I'm doing reviews, I'm going to try to get way past the neck pours and see if that, changes my first impression. First impression on both bottles are very good. Very surprised. When I went in, what happened was, and Keith, this will answer your question of how I find this kind of stuff. I was just coming home from work, and I thought, well, I usually go to this place that's about a half-hour drive because they've got really good prices, and I thought, I need to branch out and find something, though, a little different. I needed these two distilleries. And the place I usually go to only had the 10, the Glen Grant 10, and I think they had like a 21 or some like really high priced over 25, maybe even a 30 or something. Could be even higher than that. And I know how they have 40s and 50s, I think, for those guys. So I took a gamble and I just went out to a place in DC that was off the metro and never been there before, run by a guy really cool, friendly. I was looking around and looking at all their Game of Thrones bottles, trying to find the last two I don't have, the Royal Lochnagar 12 and the Clynelish, unfortunately, which is killing me. I don't have that one, especially. I want both of them, though, because those last two I need. He had three. He had Lagavulin, the Glendulin, and the Dalwhinnie. He might have had one more, the Cardew. I think he had four, actually. But, of course, not the ones I was looking for. And then I thought, well, maybe I'll have something of the distilleries I still haven't touched yet that I want to try. I have had a Glen Grant sample before of like a 10, but maybe even a 12, but it doesn't do it justice. This is a 15, and it caught my eye because I've seen the 16 readily available, the old school one. They did a re-release, and I think that they have an 18 and a 16. But the 15 number threw me off because I don't remember seeing a Glen Grant 15 anywhere. And it was reasonably priced. It was like $75, I think. And I thought, well, for 15-year-old, that's pretty good. It's reasonable, I'd say. And I didn't even notice that this is batch strength, first edition. And it's funny, I already picked it out and didn't even see that. They do have it nice and bold. I mean, you can't really miss it, but I wasn't really looking for anything special. The 15 was enough to catch my eye, thinking this is going to be pretty good. And then when I already bought it, I believe, and I was looking at it, just kind of, admiring the packaging of it, and distilled in 2002, bottled in 2017. I'm like, that's relatively new. And then I saw that batch strength. I'm like, well, what does that really mean? And then it's funny, they don't even put the ABV readily visible unless you look at the very bottom right-hand corner, and it's 50%. I'm like, wow, that's a special bonus. You can't go wrong with that. And at the same time, I'm looking for something else because I wanted, a couple. This guy was just sitting there staring at me, and I'm like, wow, that's a interesting looking deal. I know it's Edgerdour is the distillery, and Ballechin is their heavily peated version. It's kind of like Long Road to Springbank, Ballechin to Edgerdour. So I'm like, wow, this is intriguing. And it's natural color. Natural color, Ballechin. Look at that. I mean, that's crazy. Oloroso, 4th release. It's heavily peated and it's unchill filtered. I'm like, wow, matured solely in Oloroso sherry butts. That sounds pretty damn good to me. 46%. It's not 48 like I'd like it to be sweet spot wise, but am I gonna bitch about 2%? No, I just might not put maybe more than a little bitty drop on it if I need it, but I think this was good neat if I remember correctly. We'll get to that in a second. So let's start off with some Glen Grant. Hey, Louise and Neck Pour, good to see you. I think that you might be new to the channel. I appreciate you stopping by. Hey, Stephen Connor, good to see you. Haven't forgot about you. I am going to be shipping some stuff out salsa-wise, and I haven't touched those special things yet, and I will definitely make an announcement on at least on Twitter before I pull the trigger on that. And I really appreciate your time with that deal. The just catching up with some comments here. I appreciate your patience. I know it's been a while, and I feel really bad. It's been kind of crazy. I'm a ham radio operator. My antennas have been dying. Like the radio I use here, I had some firmware update issues, and I had to go back and forth to California over that. And then on my truck, I use it's called a screwdriver antenna. It's got a motorized function to it that I have a switch, and my motor burned out on that. So I've been dealing with Missouri and North Carolina over the past week on that deal. So it's been pretty crazy. Oh, lurking. Well, I appreciate you getting involved in the channel. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind. Some people look down on the neck pour because of, I guess sometimes people get these first impressions of like something that might change over time with oxidation. And to do a proper review, I think you do have to do, and I love the neck pour too sometimes. Like it's you know, Ardbegs never steered me wrong. Lefroy's, as soon as I sip them from the very top to the very bottom, I've never been disappointed. So that's something that I enjoy all of it pretty much usually. But to do a proper review, I do want to give it a little more time and not just start into it unless I have to. Sometimes you don't get much of a choice. Sometimes you can only get a sample if it's something really special. That happens too, but it's one of those deals. So let's start out with this Glen Grant 15 batch version, batch edition, first, I can't even say it, first edition batch strength. That's what the words I was looking for. Pretty solid on the color. I don't think they put coloring in it. It's a nice kind of a hay straw, you know, bourbon-esque kind of color, which you expect to see. I'd be surprised if these guys were doing that, because if you were going to color it, you think you'd go a little darker on the shade. 50%, like I said, first fill bourbon. Let's give it some sniffs and see what we got. Wow. And I have had these sit out for a while. I usually do a minute per year if I can, and it's been sitting out for at least 15, 20 minutes. Interesting nose. It's got a hell of a lot of fruit. Not surprising for a great Speyside. Glen Grants are known for that. The 10, I believe it was the 10 or the 12. I can't remember which one exactly, but it was a solid Speyside intro whiskey. This is like on steroids, though. Not only the ABV brings it, the really nice, you can tell it's going to be a really nice mouth coat, just the way that the liquid settles in the glass. Really soft, sweet smells in there with the fruit. There's like some marshmallow goodness on the nose. Some, maybe even, I have to wait till the palate to tell you about that one, I think, just to make sure. Kind of tropical. Has some floral notes in there too. It's pretty complex. Pleasant. Nothing sour or bitter. Nothing off-putting at all. No mineral notes. I mean, when you think Speyside, this is really, really good. I do enjoy it more already than the Benriach, just the basic 10. Now, I love I've only had 17 Septentesimal, which I believe is the peated version of a Benriach, and the Curiositas is their other 10-year-old peated. This is probably reminiscent of what a Benriach 15, 16-ish probably is like as well. Definitely brings the clout to the show. It's definitely not a subtle whiskey at all. Really like that nose. Very sweet in all the right places, but balanced with the florals. Going to neat. It's really, really easy drinking for 50 especially. I had to warm up with some Tiller the Murray second release a little earlier, but that's only a 46. Oh, and one thing I really love about this one is the finish is so long. And not only do you have that marshmallow from the nose to the palate, you are getting like a roasted coconut kind of a taste. I think is what I got on the nose, and I wasn't quite sure if it was going to be in the palate, so I wanted to save that for the after effect if I was still getting that. Really nice balance of white grapes, pear, and some pineapple. Got a little tropical going on in it with the coconut roasted. No peat, no smoke of any kind, but man, does it bring the fruit slash pillowy mind. It's like and the fruits, the meat, it's like a medium to light fruit, and it goes on for ages, and it's the ABV. I'm sure that's helping it out so much. This is going to be a winner. I'm going to have don't close your eyes, Lee. Don't look. I'm going to have just a couple drops. Lee says you opened up the Toy Chick. Oh, that new one, the Toy Chick. I can't remember how you pronounce that last part. It's been a while since I looked at that one. Today I remembered you sent me the original. Have you tried the sequel yet? I have not. The Toy Chick first version to me was okay. If you are just looking for a peated, nice whiskey, just like a Lagavulin 8, great breakfast dram, hammy notes, burnt toast, that kind of thing. I'd love to try the new one. I haven't even seen it yet. I'm not sure if it's readily available in America yet. You probably ordered yours overseas, I'm guessing. But did you enjoy it? Did you like it, or was it not up to snuff? Did you like it better than the original, or do you remember anything about it? Louise is having the Macduff 10. Cool. I've only had one Macduff, and I don't not. It's hard to judge because it was a different independent bottler. I don't know if I enjoyed it as much as I wanted to, but I got to go back and look at the review before I say that, because it might have been one of the, because I've had so many different distilleries lately. It's hard to remember every experience, but I have to go back and look and see what the experience was. I might have liked it. 50% is a nice ABV. Said you pour this. Oh, nice. Read the sample tree. Yeah, it's been too long. That's true. Yeah, hopefully you can come up and visit me here. I'm not that far, and I've got lots to share with you. So, if you got some off time anytime soon, let me know, and maybe we can make it an eyeball QSO, as we say over the air. Eyeball QSO. That's funny. Triple Cat, not because it's bad, because it's basic. No peat, cherry wine influence. Oh, that must be discussing a particular offering. I missed a bunch of the comments. Let's see. It is a sample. I would not buy a bottle. Okay. Let's have a couple just for old giggles. And I mean just a couple drops. Nothing major. No, not killing it by any means. I'm just wanting a little bit of those molecules to swirl around a little bit, give it a little something different. I'm already getting more like a buttery, sugary caramelization on the nose now, just from a couple of drops. Haven't lost my fruit, haven't lost my nose, haven't lost even the marshmallow. That's lovely, man. So it has a little bite to it, which I like. Maybe took it down to 49, 1%, if any of that. Really great palate. I think it brings. You still keep the fruit, but it brings a little more sweetness, a little more cream, more vanilla, more the bourbon-esque part of it. I think it was a little bit more oaky before, and I don't mind losing a little bit of that. I'm not a huge fan of a lot of the real heavily wooded whiskeys. Unless there's like a char going on, I'll do like a burnt, smoky kind of thing. But if it's just plain old woody, like the Lefroy Triple Wood is probably one of my least favorite of the entire series. If I had to pick next to Select, I'm not a huge fan of that one either, just because I know what Lefroy's capable of doing across their whole realm. But if there was two of those I would probably never ever buy again, it would probably be the Select and the Triple Wood. Everything else is perfection. Great. Oh, a few of us will be at Jack Rose on Saturday. Oh, I forgot about that, Triple. Yeah, I need you to email me a time that I should, possibly show up if I can. Saturday. That's 2 days. I'm not bashing them, man. I'm not bashing them. I love their stuff. The Select and Triple Wood. The Select is definitely an entry level. We all know that. The Triple Wood is just the wood. It's not Lefroy. It's the woodiness I'm not really into. And this, thankfully, is not like that, especially when you have a drop. So I'm not bashing, man. Come on. It's Lefroy Glide. The Select is, that's for sure. Triple, send me an email if you don't mind. Triple, go to Telex at Outlook.com. That's TELEX at Outlook.com, and send me a message of what's a good time to show up there if I want to meet up with you guys and have a dram or something. That would be fun. Hopefully you guys will be there longer than 15 minutes, as it's about an hour trip from here. But I don't mind taking it if it's having some good whiskey and hanging out and stuff. So that would be a good deal. I haven't been there yet. I'd love to go. I've been meaning to go there for quite a while. I've been to a lot of other places in DC, and I've heard that's the best one, but I've never been. Sent you at Outlook.com. We'll go to Apple. Okay. Yeah, I remember getting an email from you, but I just need to know what time is a good one to show up there. Haven't lost my finish either. Nice, tight. I mean, would I like some smoke in it? Hell yeah, it'd be nice. Would I like a little peat in it even? Maybe. I don't need it for this glass, but I could never turn down a really good peated whiskey. But I'd say it's solid. If you're looking for a really straightforward, decent, especially if you like bourbon cask, high ABV whiskey with no frills, just kind of a solid, great taste, man. This is definitely up there. It's definitely a 4 out of 5 at minimum. I'm trying to think of how much better. What would it be with the finish is long too, which really boosts it up. I'd love to get like an older version of it. That's the only thing I can knock it for, really. I think it's natural color. I don't think they really talk about, it's exclusive. There's 10,680 bottles of it. It's available in the U.S. exclusively since January of 2018. I'd say I think I'm going to give it a 4.5. It checks all the boxes pretty much on that, but it's awfully high though. If it was an 18 or 21, man, I mean, how much better would it be? Probably pretty darn. I'm going to have to do 4.25. 4.25 on it. I think that's fair. It's definitely much better than average. It's got a little room to grow age-wise. I'd love to get an 18 to 21 version. I think that's a fair score. That finish is killer though. So I'm gonna say 4.25. That's my final. Louis, sorry about that. I know I threw that 4.5 out there pretty quick, but I had to talk myself into how much better with a change would it be, and I think it would. I think it could really handle some age on it. Make it even more complex. It definitely. I mean, it doesn't taste young, but it doesn't taste old either. You know what I mean? It's right at that middle. 15 is a really good like middle grade, middle of the road. You're not quite up to your 18s, 21s. Those are in classes of their own. Yes, the same with other distilleries. Some affordable and some not. This one I think would be affordable if they have a version like that. I'm not sure if they do. I'll have to look into it. The Glen Grant 18 is 42% ABV. 43, I'm sorry, 43%. Yeah, that's surprisingly lower. If they have a batch strength version that's older, that would be the sweet sauce, I'm thinking. I haven't had the 18 yet, I don't think. So I can't really put it up against it. I really like a strong ABV and a sort of flavor, and this has it. But I do appreciate a well-aged, refined 43, 46% as well. So it might be, you know, it might be equal. What's the 18 run price-wise? Let's take a look. I can't remember if these guys have the 18 or not. I remember that they had something, but I don't know. They had the okay, here we go. They only had two. They had the 12 for 45, and they had the 18 for 120. That's considerably higher than this one at 75. So taste-wise, is the price worth it? That'd be a tough one. I mean, I do respect the age, but I also respect a good tasting, in your face, you know, flavor punch too, and that definitely has it. For 75, if I had to pick between the two, even if I haven't tasted the 18, this is good enough for me to think, well, I'll try this one first, and then if I save up enough money for the 120 and get the 18, I'll go for that. You know, maybe second. I think that was the. Yeah, I tried some water with it, and it didn't change it much, other than it brought sweetness out versus the fruit. It was more caramely, had more vanilla, cream, but still had a really good flavor. It's complex. It handles a couple drops nicely. It doesn't lose anything from it. And that's the benefit of having a non-peated or smoky whiskey, because sometimes when you put water, even if it's a couple of drops, man, it can kill it. So you got to be really careful when you do those. I know, Lee, don't even start. I know he's the most anti-water person I know, but I'm talking like minuscule couple drops, man. Come on, get with the program. All right, enough of that one. Let's go to the next. Oh my, good stuff. Now this is definitely a treat. Lee, if you can get your hands on that Ballechin, this is a 4th release Oloroso Sherry Butt exclusive deal. This one's a little more rare, I think. It's a little harder to find. This one's priced at $150. I have seen it as low as $140, but it was out of stock. So that tells you something. There's 6,000 bottles in this release here, so it is attainable. It's not like it's a unicorn or anything like that. It's very, very peaty and has a really good amount of sherry in it. It's Oloroso, though. It's not super sweet. So I think even for Lee, I think he'd be happy. Good to see you, Rob. Whiskey in the Six. Thanks for stopping by, my friend. It's going to be, I think, really, really tasty from what I remember. And if it's, you know, no coloring and that's natural color, the only thing I can really knock it for, if you're going to really, I wouldn't even call it knocking it because it's essential filtered, is maybe an age statement. Let's see if there's anything hidden on the information. It looks like 46%. It's, like I said earlier, Edgedar's heavily peated version, kind of like Longrow is to Springbank. The phenol level is 50 parts per million, so it's decent. It's not like, you know, Octomore level, but it's closer to like a Ardbeg Lafroy kind of a range, which, you know, I wasn't really surprised about with it being deemed, you know, heavily peated. I don't see an age statement. They say over the next 2 to 4 years, we'll be releasing further progress reports on Ballechin's development, featuring the other wood types, so that the whiskey enthusiasts can take part in the journey of establishing another truly formidable single malt, born out of passion and the pursuit of quality. That was from 2009 from Andrew Symington. They acquired it in 2002, so it looks like it's I don't want to say young, but it's a new ownership. It is Scotland's smallest distillery too, which is interesting. I think, I don't know if it's true. I've heard it's only run by a few people. Let me see if it says anything about that. I don't think it does, but I've heard, I don't know if it's true, but there's like 3 people that run the show there, which is crazy if they can pull off some of the flavors I've gotten over. I've had an Hour before. I've had their 10. I've had their 12. And this is the first time I'm trying their peated version that I remember. I think I might have had a Ballechin. I take that back. I think I had a 10 or a 12, and it was good. Oh lordy, man, that nose is just to die for. It's funny. If you're gonna take a whiskey and try to find something to compare it to, it's got that nice. The first note I get is candied bacon. How can you not love candied bacon? I mean, that's just nice. Oloroso usually doesn't do it for me. I like a PX sherry, but this is so intense. I guess it's because it's sherry butt that they're using exclusively with this. It's not I wouldn't call it a sherry bomb, but it's enough to give it some really nice balance of savory and sweetness together. It's like barbecue sauce. Not as sweet as Cincinnati, but like a Kansas City, North Carolina, somewhere in there range. You almost even get like a tiramisu kind of a note. It's got some smoke going on to it. More so than candied bacon, though, is the first note. I'm thinking about the one thing it doesn't. It smells closer, I think, to an Ardbeg than it does a Lafroig, which is not a bad thing. I love both distilleries about equally as well. They're like my 1 and 2, and some days Ardbeg's #1, and some days Lafroig's #1. So there you go. 46% out of the gate, neat, easy to drink, especially after starting with that guy. Oh man. And that flavor is really similar, like the nose. It's got this candied bacon flavor to it. And it's got a really nice cocoa/coffee note, espresso on the back. It could use a little more oomph. I mean, after you start off with a 50% and you go to a 46, it's like, damn, my guys. I mean, it's good. I'm not knocking it. It's just once you go there, and you can even get crazy and go like a 57, 51 to 57 with the committee release or like a special release of a Carriages series. Once you've had that, man, that's like another tier. That's like way up here. You can't even see the tier that those are on. This is really good, but it's not as good as that. But flavor wise, it's definitely on par with like a limited release Ardbeg, like a Grooves, a Kelpie, a Dark Cove, those that are not committee releases but are limited releases. It's definitely can hold up with those, I think. Finish is good. It's a little shorter. It's shorter than this guy, and I think the ABV is probably one of the reasons that I don't know, because I've got a really long finish out of the Lagavulin 16. And that's only a 46, I think. Is that a 46? Hell, it's 43. Even lower. So there you go. It's a tough one. I mean, it's got a medium mouth coat. The mouth coat on this Glen Grant, I think, is actually heavier. The flavor, though, on this is really good. I enjoy it more than the Glen Grant 15, only because it's right in my favorite wheelhouse flavor, profile deal of the savory, sweet, peaty goodness, earthy, smoky. It doesn't have medicinal qualities to it. There's no TCP iodine in this, so it's very much far away from a Lafroy. I do appreciate that. It's like an Ardbeg, but it's not as peaty, I don't think. This would be a great warm-up peaty whiskey. Like if you're gonna do a night like tonight, if I thought about it, I think by going with a heavier space side first is taking away from this, because of this is more of a warm-up. If you're gonna go for like a Lore or a Kyrgyz or even like a Lacheg, an 18 Lacheg, or an Ardbeg like a Kelpie, or even like an older one. You want to warm up with something that's not as high ABV. This would be a great starter, I think. I love the flavor, but it's a little thin, I think. Mouth coat wise, comparatively. It's just that ABV difference, I bet, though. If this was 48 or 50%, I probably wouldn't be seeing that. That's a tough one. Great finish. My tiramisu, it's on the taste even. The bacon kind of dissipates. Sweeter notes come out because that sherry goodness is still there. It's still smoky. I love that. Campfire notes. No maritime. It's not very complex, and it might be maybe an age thing. As far as, I don't get the I'm not getting like the Talisker-esque type notes that I get sometimes on some of these other, what I consider the big boys. Is it as good as Kilchoman? I don't know. I don't think I'm getting the same quality profile there, but does it hang with Kilchoman and Ardbeg? I think it hangs. I think it's just a different, thinner. It's got the flavor, but it doesn't have the viscosity that some of these guys have in Islay. Where are these guys from again? I'm trying to remember. Let's see, Highland. Well, that explains, I think, why maybe. It's amazing to have a Highland whiskey that's that good, that it can do peat well enough to make me think it could be maybe not an Islay, but maybe an Islands type of whiskey, like a Talisker. There's not really any spice going on. I'm finding things that would make it a little bit better, but it's not bad. That's the weird thing about this whiskey. My first impression of it was, damn, that is great. So I think it's still a solid 4. I'm just trying to think if it's better than that, because I do a 1 to 5.25 increments. The price is it kills you a little bit. It is more of an exclusive. It's only 6,000 bottles, but with it being naturally colored and not chill filtered, it helps with no age statement, and with the thinness, though, that's what really it takes away. I mean, there's a little spice to it. There's a little white pepper in there on the finish. It does linger. It's a medium finish, not as long as that Glen Grant, though. That's why I'm sticking the 4 to 4.25. It's really close. Oh, man. This is a better space side than this is trying to compete with Isla whiskeys. That's what I've kind of come to a conclusion of. It is able to hang. It's a nice flavor. It's more like a Campbelltown, really, like Glen Scotia. If Glen Scotia decided to do a peated version of the 15, that's what I think this would be like. It's kind of like that. It's got a lot of good, nice, sweet, savory profile to it with some peat, some smoke. I think I'm still hanging with a 4. Someone asked about a blend. That would be interesting. I might do that actually because I just finished this. I might have to pour a little more. It is good. Said just like in the 6 kilometers back there. Yeah, I'm gonna have to. Do a little check on. Like so far, I've got the 2008. It's a vintage, nice, different than all the other Kilholmans I've had. Good. Loch Gorm is the perfect smoky, basic Isla whiskey you can get. The Seneg has got more spice, savory notes to it, kind of like a Longmorn. If you know Longmorn 16, it's like that. The red wine cask matured is probably my favorite. It's like you take the perfect peaty, punchy, smoky Kilholman, and you throw a wine cask in there. Holy balls, is good. As is the original cask strength green bottle. Those two are tied for my favorites. That one's like peanut brittle, cashews, perfect peat notes, chocolate. It's hazelnut. It's everything great. And even the Sauternes cask, I really like that one a lot. The only one I had Kilholman wise, I only had a sample of it. Didn't buy the bottle. Was the port cask. It's hard for anyone to do a port cask correctly. I've yet to find a great one. It's sad. Lafroig Carriages 2013 port is the best port whiskey I've ever had, next to the Brodeer, which, Lee, I cannot thank you enough for getting the chance to taste that. It's just insanely good. Lee's saying I paid a healthy bottle to the face live shot, one of those Carriages. A healthy bottle to the face live shot. What does that mean? You mean like a live pour out of a bottle? Is that what you're talking about, Lee? If you had to pick only one of those bottles on your wall, which would it be and why? Yeah, man. Good to see you, Bob, by the way. I think you might be a new guy. I'm not sure if you've been a lurker before, but welcome to the show. I appreciate it. Give me a thumbs up if you guys don't mind before you leave. I appreciate it if you're having a good time. Wow, man. You don't even see this other wall down here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other shelves down the other way. There's a Enoch 24. There's a Old Pulteney 17. There's a Craigellachie 13. There's a Cragganmore Distillers Edition. There's a few Glendronachs. There's a Tullibardine de Murray second release. There's some Balvenies. There's some Oban and Glendullan and some Glengoyne, some Glenlivet, some Macallan. I can't even see that other way. There's Glenmorangie, Auchentoshan, Tomatin, Highland Park, Glenfarclas, Longmorn, Glenkinchie, Aberlour, Ballblair, Brooklady, Arborfeldy. I could go on and on, guys. Oh, man. But favorite, I picked it. If you haven't seen Bob, maybe the easiest way to do this is to check out my top 5 of 2018. I recently did it. The 5 I picked was the Ardbeg Grooves. But I do like the Ardbeg Dark Cove Kennedy release. Is my favorite Ardbeg of all time that I've tried. I have not had the Supernova, the Alligator. Actually, no, I take that back. I had a sample of the Ardbeg Erdinan Based, and that was the best Ardbeg I think I've ever had. Next to the 3 that Lee had. Man, that's a tough one. Those are both great. One's 1990, 20, I think 3-year-old. And the other one's a newer 23-year-old. Hate to say it, Lee, but I think I'm going to have to say that the Aragon based from Ardbeg's my number one. Another one that I picked was the let's see, what was it? The Lefroy Carriages 2018 Pheno cask. Favorite of all time though is the Portwood I talked about earlier. Bunnahabhain is the Erinagrena is really good. Tied with the 18. I hate to do that, but man, if I only had one though, I had just one freaking. Oh, 23. Sorry, Steven. Yeah, I said 23. I thought maybe I said 21. Sorry about that. Yeah. I mean, take a bottle of Carriages to open it and chug directly. You sound like a Whiskey Throttle, man. I'm surprised he's not in here, that bastard. I'll do that for you before we go. The one bottle best of all time to me, I don't have it actually, is the Dark Cove committee release. That was fantastic. The Aragon based though, I think is a very, very saying that Aragon based is slightly better than 23. Yeah, the 20. It's called a 20 something. I think is what their official name is, but it's a 20. I think it's a 23-year-old as well. I think it's just a newer 23 than the Aragon based, right? Because the Aragon based is from 1990. The newer 20 something 23-year-old. It's just a newer version, I guess, of it. I'm not sure. It is. Oh, okay. I like the Aragon based better than the 23 thing, just because of it's got that vintage feel that it's kind of like listening to a vinyl record versus like streaming something in the same even if it's the same compression, same quality. I don't want to get technical on you guys, but like typically things are like encoded when you rip CDs or rip things, and if you're streaming things, you're compressing it for quality, whatever. 16 to 18. Oh, depending. Okay. It tastes like a 23-year-old whiskey, though. It really does. And I think yours might have been the 16. I can't remember which one it was. 17, maybe? It was damn good, no matter if it was 16 or 18. It tasted like a 20-something-year-old whiskey. It really did. Yeah. Triple, I will. Give me an email and let me know what time to show up there, and I'll go. 16. Wow, that's crazy, man. It tasted like older. I guess being vintage 1990. But anyway, the encoding, like if you take a vinyl record of, let's pull a classic, like one of my favorite albums of all time is King Crimson's In the Court of the Crimson King from 1968. And I can listen to it on vinyl, or I can listen to it streaming and lossless, perfect CD / off the master quality. I want the warmth of the analog. I want the vintage sound of it. I'll take the vinyl over. And I know a lot of people argue you can't hear a difference, but I think some people can and some people can't. It's the same thing with whiskey tasting. Some people can taste a lot of different notes in something, and some people just can't. It's just different palates, different deals. And I appreciate listening to something that has a little bit of a heavier end to it, a little bit more response. The mid-range is in your face more. A record gives you that, in a CD or a perfect stream, lossless, straight from the studio, just doesn't have that same quality to it. I'm not sure, how to explain it better than that. And that's, I think, that the comparison between Aragon based, even at 16 to 18, whatever, versus the 23-year-old, I think it's got that difference for me. Thanks, Seth, for the thumbs up on that. That's what I get from it, though. That's just my take. I love it. Any way I can get it, I love it, as you can tell. Let's have a little blend. Let's try it. I mean, it might not be good, but at least I can see I tried it. Now, do I think these profiles are going to match Well, I don't know. If I had a Kleinlich 14 and this puppy, I think that would be the perfect thing to do a like a blend. And the reason I say that is because when I got to meet John Glazier when I was hanging out with the Scotch for Dummies here past in New York, I asked him, I noticed you use Kleinlich in a lot of your blends. Why is that? Is it because of its thick viscosity gives you a great foundation? That's what I thought. I thought Kleinlich was like the bass player of the band, and he kind of thought about it a second. He thought, you know what, really it's an extender. It's something that it's not just a great like foundation. It extends whatever flavor profile you put with it, and it makes it even go longer. So it's not like just a great bass player. It's a great bass player that's got a great effects rack, is the way I look at it. Chris Squire from Yes is one of the best bass players, in my opinion, of all time. And he had to, not only could he play whatever the hell he wanted to, in any key, any speed, simple, complex, whatever, he had a great effects processor that he used with it. And that's like, I think, the comparison of what whiskey to use as your blending foundation. I think Kleinlich is one of the best you could pick. But anyway, this does have great viscosity. It's got a great ABV. It's basically bourbon based, so it might work. I mean, it's worth a try. I don't think it's. Oh, I got the Ballechin 14 peated. Oh wow, I bet that's damn good, man. Because this one is. This one doesn't have an age statement, and if it did, I'm sure they would at least put a 10 on it, maybe a 12. And if you've got a 14 version of something that's like this, I bet it's spot on, man. I do. I think it's spot on that you would like it. If you didn't like it, I'd be extremely surprised, because this is a 4 out of 5, and I'm pretty damn picky. I have given plenty of 1s and 2s out there. I don't try to go overboard with advertising how bad some whiskey are, because I don't want to badmouth anything, because a lot of it is subjective. But I have had plenty of bad ones, and this is not bad at all. And if I had an aged version of this, I think you'd be on the money. So I would definitely recommend pouring a glass of it, man. Spirit safe. Good to see you. Appreciate you stopping by. Let's have a little blend action here. That's a good idea. What the hell? We're not going to lose anything, from it. So I'm going to trying to think of what parts. Now, when you're blending, you definitely want to keep your foundation solid, but it depends on if you want to go more heavily peat, of course you're going to use more of this, but the peat is so strong that you want to really give it a good amount. I'm trying to remember what he did for his one of my favorite compass boxes for a good example is No Name. It has Ardbeg, Kalila, Kleinlich, and Dalgawain as its parts. And and one thing about Compass Box that I do commend him for is I believe he publicizes his percentages. So let's look up Compass Box No Name. And I believe if I put recipe, let's see, recipe. Let's see if it talks. I remember seeing percentages and such before when it first came out, because when I did a review, on Distiller a while back, I was interested in what parts were there and that kind of thing. So let me look and see. Recipe is primarily sourced from Ardbeg, Portishead, which would be Kalila, and there's Kleinlich, a little bit of French oak, which I believe was from the Dalgawain. Let's see. What I remember, and these percentages, I don't think they got these right because they didn't have the Dalgawain as part of it. But 75.5 Ardbeg, 6% Kalila, and 13.4 clinelage and a bit of Highland blend. But the Highland blend that they're seeing a bit of, which I think was just 0.5%, if I remember correctly, was Dollywing. So the 13.4 is your base. They're going for a really heavily peated deal, though. So I'm thinking it's probably it probably does need to be about 20 to 80. 80% peated, 20% of the Glen Grant is my guess of what I'm trying to shoot at. I could be way off, but let's start with that and see what we get. The reason I already have this much is I'm going to have a fairly good pour here. Might as well, right? It's early, I think, and I'm off tomorrow, so I'm happy. We'll try this. If it doesn't have enough oomph for the mouth coat, we'll go more and we'll add to it. Needs a little more. Trying to see if I can get a visible. It's already kind of running on me. It's better. We are getting better. That's really close. Top it off. Still a damn good color. We do have a lot of, we got 20 to 25% Glen Grant in there, but not bad. It's definitely holding its shape, I think, better already. Just giving a little look-see. It's interesting. It does have a really interesting blend of the peat with a lot of more fruit to it. Reminiscent of, it doesn't have the charred oak that the Grooves has, but it has that tropical / nicely fruit profile to it. It's kind of interesting how that works. Huh. Someone just mentioned the Torfa. It's Bob. Oh. Yes. It's interesting that you bring that up. I thankfully have had the opportunity to do the Glasgow. I think that's how you say it. Glasgow. Is that correct? Glasgow. Torfa. I'm not going to bother looking up. I think it's close enough. Glasgow Torfa. And it is my favorite above, surprisingly, because I don't think it rates as high. It's, it is subjective, but let's look up the Glen Gaz. I wasn't going to look it up, but I'm going to look it up now. Glen Gaz. Oh, this is a tough one to spell. If I get close enough where it comes up. Of course not. There we go. Glen Glasgow. I missed my L. There we are. Oh, let's see. Evolution. Now, the Torfa I've had, and I've had the Evolution. I thought I was going to like the Evolution more, but I ended up actually liking the Torfa more. And I think it was because the peat. Now, do I remember it being a heavily peated malt? No, I do not. It's not heavily peated, but I do remember enjoying it a lot, and it's 50% ABV. If I was going to go for a Glen Glasgow, I would go for the Torfa. That's my that's my feel for it. I really like that one. It was memorable enough where I was like, wow, if I'm ever going to get a bottle of this distillery, I've got to get that one. And thankfully, I did find it. I think they have it for like $70. It's not crazy expensive, thankfully, either. Torfa is, let's see, they have the Evolution for $65, They have a Revival, which I haven't tried before, for 65, and they have the Torfa for 70. It is worth the difference. I noticed a huge difference. The Evolution is not peated, and it's more like a it just remind me of a run of the mills Highlands malt. Didn't really do it for me. Revival is actually even lower rated from what I'm seeing. So I would stick the ex bourbon, ex wine, ex red wine, ex sherry cask on the Revival sounds interesting, but I think I'm going to stick with my Torfa when I get a bottle of this stuff. That's my thing. Hey, Santa, thanks for stopping by, my friend. I really appreciate it. It's always great when you guys have a chance to stick around and try some of the good stuff. I try to find some interesting things for you guys to try out. And I was lucky when I ran into these recently. I was really happy to find an Edgedower, Ballechin being the peated version, and a Glen Grant. Check these two off of my distillery, checklist that I'm doing. Let me see if I have it with me. I think I do. It's funny. I'm so into it that I've got like a spreadsheet with all the distilleries and some of the prices, the ones I can find. I call them easier to find, and I have the medium ones that I might have to order, and a few hard ones that are extremely difficult. The funny thing is, out of the hard ones to find, one of them are horrible. I had a sample of it, Avenderg, something like that. Abhaindearg. No, thank you. Horrible. Not seeing it for sale. They had an inaugural release, and I'll have to say I was not a fan, and I'm glad that maybe they'll go back. I even said when I reviewed it, go back to the basics, go back to the beginning, and redo what you're doing, because this 3-year-old is not. I couldn't even drink it. It was that bad, guys. It was that bad. Not cool. One of the hard to find ones is a Ballindalloch. And I say hard to find because I'm not looking for independent bottlings. I'm looking for distillery bottlings. There's a 25-year-old only available, I think, for the Ballindalloch. They're from Cromdale. It's a Speyside released by Tybev, who also does, I believe, Speyburn and Old Pulteney and some other stuff. I think they probably use it for a lot of blends, if I had to take a guess, if they do blends. But hard to find Ballindalloch. Another one that's really hard, and I have had a fantastic independent on, was Bravil. I think that's how you say it. Bravil, something like that. It was supplied by Lee G. I think he already took off. See you later, G. Hopefully, Lee, that you're doing all right. You're probably working right now. He had a Samaroli independent bottling of it. It was fantastic. 4.5 stars. It was solid. It was like a 22-year-old, I believe. Holy man. Very, really, really good. The next one is a Daft Mill. It's an independent, it's a inaugural ballot only. They are a new whiskey. It's independently owned in Fife, and they have an inaugural ballot only release where you have to get a pick. No, the Avenderg, it wasn't a 10. It was like an inaugural release. It was like a 3-year-old, I believe. And to be a true Scotch, you had to be at least 3 years old. It was definitely an inaugural release, and it was just absolutely horrible. Could not drink it. It was that bad. I had to pour it down the drain. I don't pour whiskey down the drain, guys. I've had some 2 stars that I've been tempted to, and I even had some 1 stars that I've been tempted to. That was a 0-star whiskey. It was that bad. I didn't even know they had a 10-year-old Spirit Safe. Do you see a 10-year-old offering? They just released a 10. Oh, man, I'm intrigued now. Okay, because the 3, I'm pretty sure if you're an inaugural release, is a 3, but that's a 7-year difference. I've had some bourbons lately that I couldn't drink. Steven, I hear you there, man. I'm not a corn guy. I can't. I mean, I'm from Kentucky, Louisville originally. I love the ideal of moonshine and all that, and I can't drink moonshine. I can't drink bourbon. It's really the saddest thing ever. I just do not enjoy the just can't handle the corn liquor. Don't like it. I do like rye. I've had some ryes I would get into, and hell, I love Scotch. You know that. Spirit says the 3-year-old is abysmal. Yeah, I could vouch Scouts Honor. Remember the Scouts Honor? It's bad. You don't even want to go there. And they were charging like 70, $80, I think, for that. Thankfully, what I had was a sample. But my God, man, it was effing horrible. Okay, moving on. But thankfully, those are only 3. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 hard to find whiskeys of distilleries that are. All the other ones are that are medium. I can order, and the easies actually I can find these. On the thing, I still have probably, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9. I probably have a good 30 distilleries to get the bottles from. I have had samples already, so I know which ones I'm going to really enjoy and which ones I'm kind of be like, oh man, I hope the independents were just not good and the distillery versions are better. But there's a lot to look at. Unfortunately, a lot of these are used in Diageo's blends. I did enjoy the Authrosk, Auchroisk. I remember that being good. The Altmore was good. Benrennis is decent. Dalliowayne, I'm trying to remember if I enjoyed that. I think I might have somewhat enjoyed it at least. Dufftown, not so much that I remember. Glenelgan, Elgin. Either way, it was okay. Glen Ord, not a big fan. Glen Spey, not a big fan. The Knockandoo, though, at a 15 Knockandoo, that was good. Linkwood I've had some good versions of it. Montnagar is pretty decent. Montnacamore, not so much. Montnacamore. And Strathmill was one of my least favorite independent bottlings, though. I cannot wait to try a Strathmill proper. Even if it's 10, 12 years old, that's just, what it is. Oh, wow, you guys are really going. Let's see. Hated to Heaven Hill. Oh, wow, 27. It's like chewing on a log. Wow, Steven. I can't say I blame you. I can imagine. I can almost always find a buddy that will take it before pouring out. Yeah, that's what I try to do too. I'll buy the 10 just to come across it off the list. Yeah, Spirit, I'll probably do the same thing. If they have a 10 available, it's worth a try to see how much different than the 3. I hope to God that it's like a night and day difference. And I'd be the first one to be happy enough to get a sample or a bottle and say, I eat my words, that it just, the first one was not great, but this one's actually properly done. I would love to be able to say that. I'll be the first one to try it. He also hated the Bellmead Bourbon Honey Cask Limited Edition. That's a mouthful, Steven. Honey Cask Limited Edition, man. That sounds frightening. Anytime I throw you, one of my new rules is if it says select or private on it, I'm kind of leery. But the new Oban from the Game of Thrones series is actually really good. I like the really heavy smoke in it. You don't get that from Obans typically. In the Talisker, the new Select Reserve, that was actually well done. But typically, now I'm looking at you, Glenmorangie, and some of these other like Glenlivets and Founder Reserves, Master Reserves, and all that crap. It's like, come on. Don't put $30 price tag on it and call it the Founder's Reserve. That just doesn't make sense to me, but that's just me. Anyway, moving on. The worst were Spey. Spey. You and I are doing the same challenge. Tell us, cool. Yeah, Spey. I've heard of those guys. Are they Scottish, or is that an actual? Is Spey a Glen Spey? I'm familiar with, but just the basic Spey. I heard of those guys. I thought they were outside of Scotland, but maybe not. Let me know where they're from, or what's the proper distillery name for the Spey guys. I'm just curious. Whiskey Ace is saying to Connor that 25 to 27 bad bourbon, Heaven Hill. Once in his tasting, liked it for uniqueness. Huh. Yeah, it goes to show it is subjective sometimes. Dufftown's a bad one. Yeah, I didn't not enjoy the Dufftown. I wasn't hanging with that, but I don't think that necessarily the same batch. Yeah, different batch. Yeah, I'm sure. Dalloween is lovely. Yeah, I remember it being, I think, one of the better off. I won't say off brands, but not as famous brands of Scotch whiskey. Whiskey without the E. How do you feel about Green Spot? I don't know that one. Space from Speyside is still limited. Oh, Speyside. There is a Speyburn and there's a Speyside. Yes. From what I remember about Speyside, they have a 12-year that's for only like $40. I figured that might be a better idea than going with the standard Spey stuff they release. They have a Speyside 12-year for it's only $39.98 though. It kind of makes me nervous. It's probably just going to be one of those run-of-the-mill Speyside, not as good as a Ben Reich or a Glen Grant kind of thing, but I'll take a gamble at it. Maybe 40 is not going to break the bank, so thankfully, so that might be maybe for the Taiwanese market. That's what I remember. That's why I kind of was wondering which one of those I should go for. I think I'm just going to go for this basic Speyside 12-year and see what I get out of that. Likely from a different cast, though. I was pretty geeked about sampling that, even though, as the host said, I looked over. Wow. Definitely is something not many people get to try. I'm glad I had a sample full. Yeah. Huh. Never had the green. The yellow I had at the bar was meh. Wow, I found most super Irish super friendly Green Spot is so smooth. Huh. Speyburn Aranta cast, 46% ABV, non-chill filtered, no coloring, and is very good. Yeah, Speyburn is different than Speyside. There's two distilleries. I know what you're talking about there. The Speyside distillery, which is kind of funny they can name themselves that. Like if I just opened up one called Isla Distillery, that'd be kind of funny. But there's a Speyburn and there's a Speyside. The Speyburn distillery has a lot of good stuff. The 15 I heard is really good. The Aranta they do have here on my list for $40. That's a pretty good price, I imagine, for an Aranta cask at 46% non-chill filtered, no coloring. Is 46? You think? I'm sorry, $40 a good price there, Martin? I'm just curious. And welcome to the channel, Martin. If you haven't been here before, I can't remember if I've seen you before or not. Huh. Speyside, Speyburn, Glen Spey. Yeah, those are three actually different distilleries, I believe. The Speyside, Speyburn, and Glen Spey, I think, are three different actual ones. They have similar names that are really confusing. I'm glad you told me, though, that the had paid $35 for it. Okay. I appreciate that. Yeah, I found a place in Maryland that's got it for $30, so that's a good price, it sounds like. I might have to pull a trigger. And did you enjoy it a lot? I think if I look up, you said it was very good. So, yeah, I'll have to maybe try that one. There's a Wikipedia list. Are you? Is it all the same distillery, or is it three different ones? Spirit Safe. I thought it was always the three different ones. Are they all under the same thing? Speyside Spey Burn in Glen Spey. I thought I could have sworn they were all different, but maybe they are the same. Glen Spey Distillery. You got 3 bottles of it. Wow, Martin must really like that one. Then I'll have to try that for $40. You can't go wrong. It sounds like Spey Burn from Spey. Okay, there's Spey Burn from Speyside Distillery. Okay, maybe they. Well, are they all into the same? I'm so confused. I'm looking at all these different wikis and all these different like sites, and just let me know. Okay, 3 is separate, so I was correct on that. Good. I was worried. I was like, oh man, I'm going to combine all these 3 into 3. Okay, good. I'm glad that they are 3 separate, because I did know about the Glen Spey, the Speyside, and Spey Burn. But yeah, which ones to pick is the tough part. But the Speyside, I think I'm going to go with that 12-year. The Spey Burn, I might go with that Aranta or maybe an age. They have for Spey. I'm going Speyside crazy right now. For the Spey Burn, they have a 15-year for $70, a 25-year for $250, and I've heard that's rare, so I might try to pull the trigger on that one. Maybe, I don't know. Don't tell anybody. That's really tempting, but the 15 for $70 is a no-brainer. That sounds pretty damn good. Odd fact that Spey Burn is #1 importer of Scotch into the U.S. Really? Wow. Definitive list is scheduled to the Scotch whiskey regulations. Okay. That's wild. But Spey Burn, I'm thinking either 15 or 25. Speyside, I'm thinking 12-year. And Glen Spey is one that I think I have to look again just to make sure on my list. That's a tougher one because that one's used, I think, in a lot of blends. Yeah. Look at the old trusty separate list here and see. As far as a blend, guys, on this one, I'm not sure if I really talked about this a lot because I've been drinking and eating and looking and talking and whatnot. And it has been sitting for a bit. It's good. It's better, I think, than this by itself. I think it does rise this up too. Not a bad blend. I mean, this really takes over, but you know, I just use that as a thickener, you know, like a extender. Much better mouth coat, that's for damn sure. The fruit helps. I think it's a good blend. I think whoever mentioned that, I forgot who it was. If you're still around, whoever mentioned to do a blending between these two, that's actually not bad at all. I enjoy that. Wow. It's just amazing what you can do with whiskey. I love blending my own blends. If I've got a really good bourbon-based whiskey, and then, I mean, typically I stick to like just the peated ones that don't have like a sherry or a cask influenced deal, but just a one just sherry by itself or just peat by itself. I typically will stick to that kind of blend, but this is not bad at all. This is actually really good. Whoever mentioned it, thumbs up. Uh-oh. Spirit Safe is showing. I gotta show this for you. It's a link, looks like. Legislation.gov.uk. Oh, wow. Cool. I'll keep that and put it in my favorites later. Rare best 12 cast strength. That sounds interesting. One thing on my bucket list to try, I'm not a big, I never really dove into Irish whiskeys. I've heard Rare Best is, you know, one of the best ones. Middleton, I've heard, is probably the best. I don't know if it's like, you know, across the board, everyone's favorite. Let me know what your favorite Irish whiskey is, just out of curiosity. I'd love to try Middleton. I haven't tried one yet. I wanted to try a Connemara because I like peated whiskey, but I've heard they're pretty bad, so I might not do that one. I don't know if anyone I've ever talked to that likes a Connemara a lot, so I'm kind of hesitant to pull that out of the bag. But Redbreast and Middleton is the one I hear a lot about. The Jameson's Bushmills thing, I haven't ever heard of someone that's like, "Oh, you got to get this version this year, this deal." But with the Middleton and Redbreast, those are the two that are Green Spot. Now, who makes that one, Whiskey Ace? I'm curious. Is that a Redbreast one too? Connemara is drinkable. Okay. Oh, Redbreast for sure. Jason, Henry, have you ever had a Middleton? I've heard that's pretty damn good, but I haven't had either a Redbreast or a Middleton yet, so I'm not sure about that. Writer's Tears. Who? Well, slow down there, Skippy. Which ones? Oh, you're talking probably to Steven. Never mind. Middleton makes Redbreast. Jameson Powers, Patty, Green Spot, Yellow Spot, and Middleton. Jeez. Middleton makes everything, it sounds like. Christ, okay. Huh. Okay, so let's say Middleton is the distillery. Out of Redbreast versus Jameson's versus Powers, Patty, Green Spot, Yellow Spot, Middleton, what is your favorite in that, in their offerings? I'm just curious. What's the best place to start? And I like peated, I like sherry, I like bourbon, influenced. I don't like corn, but I like if it's got like a bourbon cask, that's fine. Um, I like it when it is complex. I like age. Let me know what you think would be the best one that maybe Mitchell and Son does Green Spot. Okay, huh? But they're all Middleton whiskeys, it sounds like. So is Green Spot the best of if you had to pick between Redbreast, Jameson's, Powers, Patty, Green Spot, Yellow Spot, and Middleton, which is the best offering? Middleton's the best. Okay, probably the most expensive, I'm sure too. But it's good to know at least. So it sounds like Redbreast, Green Spot are the two like top tier next to Middleton. Is that kind of the case and how that goes? 'Cause there is a nice whiskey, an Irish whiskey place around that I could try and see if they have any of those. I know they have Jamesons. I know they have Bushmills, but I'm not sure if they. I think they would have. I think they have Redbreast and Connemara and some of the other ones too. But I'm not sure about Middleton. Hopefully they have. Well, Redbreast is Middleton, but I'm not sure what other ones they have. Redbreast is the ones that's easily accessible. 12 cast strength. Yeah, that sounds up my alley. I'll definitely. I think I'll stick to Redbreast and Middleton and Green Spot as an option. Those three sound like the best that people like the most. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just curious if that's kind of the case. Anyway, but yeah, I'd love to get through this list eventually, and I'm going to redo my thing because I've got like lots of Springbanks, lots of Bunnahavens and Highland Parks and Kilcairns and Taliskers everywhere. But I'm thinking of having just one of every distillery all around the deal, and you guys can't appreciate it as much as I do because I don't have a 360 camera yet. Maybe someday, but if I could go down that route and have it like pan around, that would be pretty cool. Have one of everything. Middleton will be 200 and above. Wow. Okay, that's not bad though. I mean, it's reasonable. I mean, I usually stay around that area. So Barry Crockett or Derek. Oh, and now you're getting to the Irish Gaelic there. Derek Gallic, probably. Halleck. I can't remember how you do the GH pronunciation. I know the BH is a soft V, but I can't remember the GH deal. We'll grab Cavenagh Castle 12 if you want something more like Scotch. Okay. I have heard of that one. I don't think I've ever tried it or seen it, but I'll have to see if they have something like that. Writer's Tears. That's interesting. Irish Oak. Okay. Huh. Well, I appreciate the recon on that because it's tough sometimes when you go out and you're looking for something and you have no idea where to even start. If it's Scotch, I can tell you where to go in an instant heartbeat, no matter if your palate is Highlands, Lowlands, Isla, Islands, Campbelltown, whatever it is, I'll tell you where to go. When it comes to some of these like Irish slash bourbon or American, even, I'll be like, I'm clueless, but I know my Scotch. Anyway, but yeah, we're gonna have a fun voyage going into some of these other distilleries, and then I'll probably start doing some Scotch Malt Whisky Society bottles and see what they have to offer because I'm really intrigued by joining them. I haven't done it yet. I've had my finger on the trigger. I've had their bottles. They've all been really good. No matter if it's a Linkwood or a Dalmore or Bunnahabhain or a Lafroig. One of my favorites was a recent one called Spice Compote, and it was actually done by Cragganmore, of all things. And the Cragganmore Distillers Edition was an okay bottle. You know, it's a port cask. It's not my favorite port next to Lafroig, but it's a good drink. But that Cragganmore they had for the Scotch Malt Whisky Society pouring for that Spice Compote, oh my goodness, it's a 5 out of 5. It was so solid. So I'll probably have to try some more of their stuff. And I've got a couple bottles I've been sampling here a little bit. One's a Glen Scotia, and one is I can't remember if it's a Lafroig or Bunnahabhain. I think it's Lafroig though. That I might do a review on just for fun, just for something different. I'm not sure if they're buyable anymore, but at least it'll give you an idea of how good their bottles are. And they do run a little higher. They're like $100 to $200 usually a bottle, but they're cask strength whiskey. There are no like frills, no craziness. They just get a cask they like, put some tasting notes on it, and send it out. I mean, it's just what you get, and it's usually damn good. I'm enjoying this mouth coat now with this, so I really appreciate the idea of maybe blending those. Interesting. Shout out to whoever did that. I appreciate it. Well, I'm going to close her down. We've been going a long time. Looks like it's not Irish, but anyone had the Loch Lomond 12 or 18. I have had the 12. Now, I'll say this. The two Loch Lomans I've had are the 12, and I've had a Scotch Malt Whisky Society bottle that was their Indian. They have multiple distilleries, and one of them was in India, and it was that. Now, the Indian one I did enjoy. It wasn't the greatest thing in the world, but it was better than their distillery basic 12. The reason I'm not a fan of the Loch Lomond 12 is because I got a lot of soapy notes out of it. I'm not a fan of soapy whiskey. I'm not sure why I get that note from that particular distillery, but just not my thing. I have not tried the Loch Lomond 18 yet. I would like to try it to see how much different it is from the Loch Lomond 12. That would be nice to see because I do not like the 12. I will say that. Sorry, Loch Lomond. Nothing against you guys. It's just not my cup of tea because that's what I got out of it. Yes, this is. Someone asked if this is the Edgedar. This is an Edgedar Distillery bottle. Their heavily peated whiskey is called Ballechin, and it's kind of like the same thing with Springbank versus Longrow. It's well done. Not great mouth coat. Finish wasn't as long as it probably could have been, probably due to the that it is not chill filtered, it's not colored, which it's a great color. I mean, it's fantastic. So I gave it a 4 out of 5, I believe, and this was more of a 4.25 out of 5. The Glen Grant edged it out because the ABV was higher, the flavor was a little more assertive, and the mouth coat was a little heavier. That's just me. It's a polarizing dram. I don't know. I guess if you're, if you like a thinner mouth coat, if you don't like an oily whiskey, if you like more of a thinness, like a Glengoyne, if you're a huge Glengoyne fan, you will love the Ballechin for peated whiskey. I will say that. If you don't like the Glengoynes as much and you're more of a Ben Ryack or a Glen Grant fan with a more heavier ABV, a thicker mouth coat, then I don't think you're going to like it as much. That's the way I could explain it. Great flavor, though, and that's why I give it a 4 out of 5. It has outstanding flavor. It's just the mouth coat finish, thickness, Clynelish factor, I like to call it, because Clynelish has that heavy mouth coat. It doesn't have it, and that's the only thing that I'm knocking it down for, I think. And the age. That doesn't have the age profile. This has the age, it has the ABV, it has the mouth coat. That's why this is a 4.25 to 5, and this is just a 4. Still great though. I'm not going to turn it down. I'm glad I bought it. It was expensive though. It's $150. Would I buy it again for that price? I don't know. If it was $100 to $120, I probably would buy it again. That's the way I would look at it. Oh, the Loman 12 being polarizing. Yeah, maybe I should try it again, because sometimes you get like just either you have a bad just day palate wise. I'm sure you guys have had it before, where no matter what you taste, something just doesn't jive with you, and it could be the greatest whiskey in the world for that day. That does happen sometimes. Thankfully, it's rare. 2, it could have been a bad sample. It was a sample. It wasn't from a bottle. So it's kind of one of those things where I do want to reapproach Loch Lomond to get my own bottle of it. Well, I'll go with the 12. I probably will skip that and go with the 18. I'm thinking with the age and maybe with, I don't know what the ABV difference is. Hopefully the 18's higher. I'm praying it's not like 43%. It's at least 46 to 48. That would be ideal. I'm not sure what it is, but that would be perfect. If they're the same and they're both like 43, I'll still probably go ahead and go for the 18 just to see, if I like it. If I ever have the chance of trying the 12 again, I'll try it. But that sample I had was very soapy tasting for some reason. I think it was because it was extremely floral, and it had a lot of, if I remember correctly, I'm going by memory here, it's been a long time, but I think it had a lot of lilac in it, and I'm not a lilac fan on my whiskey floral notes, just not for me. Oh yeah, totally mini palette. It's been way off on occasion, but it's weird. Yeah, and I think that's what it was. It was either lilac or some heavy floral note that was just so overpowering that it knocked all the good sweetness, all the good, like if there was bourbon notes, or if there was like other things going on, it just way overpowered it. And for the 12, I'm surprised. I mean, if it was a 3 to 5 year, 7-year-old, I would understand it being kind of underwhelmingly soapy, immature. But for a 12-year, man, it's like just not my cup of tea. But hopefully it was, I mean, for Loch Lomond's sake and for my own sake, when I buy a Loch Lomond bottle, I hope to God that I don't get that note again, because I have had that before. Believe it or not, this is a good closing story, because I do have to close this up. Recently at a whiskey expo, I forgot which one. I think it was DC. I was scouting out which distilleries to hit first. And one of my first, because the profile, not being peated, being a great flavor, and having really good ages, was Old Pulteney. They had their new release of the 25, and they even had a 30 or 35 there. I can't remember which one it was. And, excuse me, and they had a new 15 and an 18, replacing the 17 and 21. So I'm sampling all these different whiskeys, And the funny thing about it was, like, with the old series, the classics, I like to call them. It's only been like a couple of years. The 17 and 21 are really great Old Pulteney whiskey, solid, love them. I did not like the 12 very much. I thought it was one-dimensional. That's just me. Now, when we went to the new stuff and we tried the 15, the 18, the 25, and I think it was the 35. The 15 was one of my favorites of the new series. I thought it was solid, great. Reminded me a lot of a cross between the 17 and 21 old school stuff. So if I'm going to buy a new Old Pulteney, I'm going to go with the 15. Just makes the most sense. The 18 was not as... I might give it another try, because expos are tough sometimes to judge, but it didn't have the flavor. It just seemed like it was dead. It was almost like drinking, like, once you get above a Lafroig 18 and you go to like the 27-year, 30-year-old whiskeys, if you're a peat fan, you're like, kind of feel like you're missing something. You don't appreciate it as much because it doesn't have what you're looking for. I mean, I love age, but I gotta have my peat. And if it, to me, the sweet spot is 18 years for Lafroig. Now with Old Pulteney, it's kind of similar. With the 17 old stuff, 21 old stuff, and the new 15, it has that flavor punch profile that you're looking for. When it comes to the new 18, it just didn't have it. It just felt like it was lacking the maritime notes. It didn't have the fruitiness, the tropicalness, the didn't have a lot of stuff. And I was just like, wow, this is kind of depressing. And it got worse. When I went to the 25, I think it was, it had that soapy characteristic that I got from the Lowman 12. And I was like, you got to be freaking kidding me. If it wasn't the 25, it was the 35. I might be mixing these two up. One of them was okay. I'm not sure if it was worth the price of the 25 or 35-year-old whiskey. But I tell you what, man, it one of those had a soapy factor that was just like, wow, it's just not what my cup of tea. So sorry for a long-winded explanation, but just to sum it all up, if you're going to go for a new Old Pulteney, start with the 15. I think you'll be happy with it. I think it's a good intro. If you get a chance to try the 18 or the 25 or the 30, 35, whatever it is, on the side, like an expo or a sample or something, definitely try it first, because they're all so different. The 15 is nothing like the 18. The 18 is nothing like the 25, and the 25 is nothing like the 35. And even they have a new one called the Huddart, I think it's called. It replaces the Navigator, which is the old non-age statement. It was like another 12. I don't even think they have the 12 anymore, if I remember correctly. It just, it wasn't bad, but it was a 3-star out of 5 whiskey. It was, it was an average good whiskey. Maritime notes, bourbon cask probably, if I remember correctly. No sherry notes, no cask offering, nothing complex about it. Just, that's just what it was. So hopefully things get better. But I did really enjoy the 15. And if I can get a cheaper, even if the age is not as old, but the profile's still there and the taste is still great, and it costs roughly around 100, and it's worth it. That's the one I'm going to recommend people to go for. That's just me, and that's where I'll stay. Well, Saint Java, guys, thanks for sticking with me. It's been a long show, but it has been fun, like always. And I'll hope to find a couple other goodies by next Thursday to put on the table. Have a good one. See you soon.